Welcome back to another episode of the Strength and Speed Podcast. I'm your host, Strength and Speed owner, and Mud Gear Handlebar Race Pro, Evan Preparis. I've got a guest with me on the line. Before we get to him, though, a quick word from this episode's sponsor. So we got a new sponsor for this episode. It is Manscaped. You got to try their all-new Performance 5.0 Ultra package. It's got a nose hair trimmer, it's got a body hair trimmer, it's got deodorant, and then it's got a aftershave lotion. And then on top of that, it came with 2 free gifts. Comes with boxers and a t-shirt, and as well as actually, I don't know the t-shirt. I think the t-shirt was separate. It comes with a travel bag as well. Great product for body hair trimming. I know my very first article, I've got like 350 articles online. My very first article I wrote about OCR had to do with actually shaving. And one of the reasons is one, because it brings out the definition more in your muscles. So you look better in pictures. And then as I've started racing more ultras, when you don't have any body hair, actually you dry quicker. So I'll come out of water obstacles, and if I've shaved my arms and legs,
Ah,
etc., you come out and the water just kind of sheds off you. So pretty cool. Really nice product. The aftershave and the deodorant smells super nice. So we got a code for you guys. You can get 20% off and free shipping with the code ultra-ocr at manscaped.com. So that's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code ultra-ocr. Um, yeah, check them out. All right, let's bring on today's guest. We've got Noel Medina. Noel, say hi.
Hey, what's going on, Evan? Pleasure talking to you for the first time.
Yeah, this is the first time we are actually talking. He's one of the newest athletes on the Mud Gear Hannibal Race Pro team. And yeah, we're gonna get to know him a little better. I actually don't know you that well. Most of the guys who joined the team and girls I know pretty well, but one of the ways we look at getting new teammates is essentially all of our teammates are scouts, for lack of a better term, that are always kind of on the lookout for people who are both high level performers and also generally good people. That's also important for our team. It's not, you don't just need results. And you came highly recommended through Ashton Abraham, one of the guys on our team, and then also one of my other friends, Shell Laketta, who helps run Lionhearts Fitness.
Yep, great people. Great people. I've been racing and hanging out with those people for a couple years now, many races. It's crazy how all the paths connect.
Yeah, yeah. Especially, I mean, you stick around in this sport for a while, you start seeing the same names and faces at different races, and you start kind of building that little community. And I know you're based out of Florida, so I don't travel and race in Florida very often. I've made it like once, I think. So, um, yeah. So you're running more in
Where
that. Go for it.
where are you based out of? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm based out of currently Manhattan, Kansas, right in the middle of the country, about
Okay.
60 miles east of the geographic center of the United States. I'll be here until August, and then I move to Boston.
That explains all the ultras you do. There's nothing else to do.
Yeah, yeah. It's
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
mostly because I'm not fast enough to keep up with guys like you. So I
No,
got
it's still fascinating. I can't wait to get into your books. Anyway, sorry. I know I'm talking.
so a little bit about you. Finished 11th at OCR World Championships 15K in 2023. Has got had 4 different podiums last year in a mix of Savage and Spartan, and 9 the year before in 2022, mix of Savage and Spartan race, and kind of more of a specialized in short course OCR. And you might know him from Sweatcheck. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So let's jump back at the beginning, get to know you a little bit better. Now, tell me about kind of your journey into OCR.
I did my first mud run in 2015 or something like that. It was something local here in Jacksonville, the MS Mud Run. It was called one year. Um, and a couple years later, I did a Spartan race, Northeast Florida, 2017 Spartan race. And when I did the Spartan race, that's when goals were created. That's when the journey was started. Up until then, I just kind of ran here and there. I kind of worked out, kind of didn't. I just went to the gym I just thought that's what the cool people did. I lifted heavy and, I didn't know cardio. I didn't know how to lift. I didn't know how to do much. I just did. And so after that first Spartan race, um, that everything changed. I saw life different. I met so many people. I started going to a specialized gym for OCR and specifically in 2017. Same place I still go to now. Um, it's I was not expecting that question, man. That's I guess I should have, right? I've talked about it so many times already, but man, there's so much to it.
So
Um,
what was the I mean, was it what was the trigger that changed everything? Was it the crowd at the Spartan race? Was it like meeting someone? Was it just seeing that there was opportunities to, podium and or win prize money or something? What was the trigger there?
that okay, the energy that came with racing.
Okay.
Because even though I ran open, the first couple or first, a few races or so, I was just there to have fun. Um, I wanted to compete. I wanted to go faster. I wasn't good at any of the obstacles at all, but I still wanted to feel that adrenaline, and that's what got me hooked. I had to do everything I could to make sure I can keep on doing that, keep on getting faster, because that's that feeling that I wanted to duplicate every time.
Nice. So you decide to make a commitment to more competitive side of the sport, transitioning from open. What did you change in your training and kind of how did that transition look?
Um, I watched I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I would just watch old Spartan races, like old Spartan races, but literally ones like, 7, 8 years ago. A bunch of people I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. I just watched videos. And I was like, man, like this is so cool. Like I want to do that. Like I want like, and when I say do that, I mean I'm watching these people, these guys and girls run for, miles at a time doing this stuff and still running miles at a time. I want to do that. And I just watched it. And I again, I tried to duplicate that in my daily activities. When I went beach running, when I went trail running, I wanted to look like them. And yeah, I just dived into the form, the different protocols, as much as I could. I'm sure you know how it goes. Try to dive into as much information.
Oh, absolutely. I'm obsessive about things. When I find a topic that interests me, I start diving until I hit the bottom. It's like, oh, you've watched all of that? I'm like, I've watched all of it. I've watched all of the videos, read all the books. So yeah,
you,
I feel
you
it.
know, I probably didn't do it at the most efficient manner. I'm all over the place, really. Just kind of learned how to run recently. I quote, I take that with a grain of salt. But anyways, yeah.
Nice. Nice, nice. All right, so you decided to make the commitment, start training more seriously. When did you feel like you started to kind of like breaking into that higher tier level of performance? Right, because
Uh, um,
you've got some. I mean, you've got some really good results. I mean, the Savage Race podiums are not easy to come by, nor a Spartan Race. Those are two of like the hardest series to get podiums at, and then top
yeah.
15 at OCR World Championships is like insane. So,
So, um, I'm I I I I would humbly say I'm under the radar and probably, extremely rightfully so. Because, there's a lot of top tier athletes out there doing crazy stuff. So, um, I've done a lot of racing. I've been in fourth place a lot. I've been in 11th place a lot where it's like, oh, almost top three, oh, almost top 10. So there's one race that stands out, and I'll get right into it. The Spartan National Series Alabama race. I think it was 2019. I did the age group race, and I got second place. And that was only like my second or third time running a competitive wave. And that was big because I previously got two third places in Fayetteville in my age group. And so to turn around and get second place in the national series race, which at the time was pretty big, like, oh, whoa, my name is up there with Michael Strobel. Michael Strobel was running my age group for a long time, during like 2017, 18, maybe 19 or so. So anyways, that race was kind of, yeah, yeah. Since then, me and a few guys have had a friendly rivalry. Some of these guys don't really race anymore; they're into other things. But yeah, I'd say Caleb Yates out there and Alec Hood, Michael Strobel, those guys are really running the age group, and I was so glad to keep up with them. Anyways, yeah.
Nice. Good stuff. So what do we got planned for 2024? What are our sights set on?
Um, I want to. I've got to win. Just win. That's it. I want to win more races. I want to get more Savage Axes. I want to win more Spartan races. Um, that's it. I mean, yeah. Um, and nothing more than a beast size race. So, anybody listening, I'm not inching into the ultras competitively. I might here and there just for fun, but don't worry about that happening. But as for some of the sprints, the supers, and of course the savage races that are about 6 miles also. And then coming into OCRWC in October, the 15K. Um, I mean, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I just want to win more.
How many times have you done OCRWC?
Twice now. I did it in 2018 in Vermont. I think I got like 15th in my age group. I walked a lot. The mountains killed me. Mountains absolutely destroyed me. That was a good time though. Ashley, Lorraine, Evan Sumners from Get Core Fitness. We went all up there together from here. Um, and then of course last year in California, and the mountains didn't destroy me so much. So hope to do better this year.
Yeah. What did you change? I mean, obviously there's several years there and a lot of training and stuff like that. Since you're from Florida, did you do any sort of like mountain specific prep work? And if so, like how did you do that when all your terrain is essentially flat?
Yes. I've made it a focus coming into last October to work on my legs, to get my form right, to deadlift right, to squat right, little stuff like that. And of course, frequenting the one hill we got here. A lot of times I sweat check. I'm in the Fort Caroline Timaquan trails here. There's one, it's about a 95-foot climb. Really technical, really rooty, really sandy. I've ran that trail probably thousands of times now. It's almost the only trail that I run. It proves its worth. Um, yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, I'll just run the same trail all the time. A lot of lunges, a lot of um, understanding the kinetic chain. That's what I meant to say at the beginning, actually, talking about the deadlifts and the squats, because that's something that I didn't understand, and that was destroying me when I was doing some of these races with elevation.
Nice. When you run that same trail, that hill, do you opt for more like just steady state? I'm just going to maintain a pace, go up and down, or are you doing intervals, or you do a mix of both? Like, what's your preferred method for improving hill performance?
Yeah, yeah. That is a good question because I do it all. Fast, slow, friggin' one leg hop, backwards, crawl, um, all kind of ways. I've done it where we just loop around a couple times. I've done it where we just go up and down. We do lunges up and down, bunny hops up and down. We start digging into Richard Diaz's brain a little bit for all that. And so yeah, the idea is to make as many different scenarios as you can with what you got. And um, yeah, yeah, That's a good question. And I'm glad you asked that. You gotta do it all. You can't just do one thing. Even I like to just run fast until I can't anymore. That's what's most fun to me. But that's not the best way to train, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Sweatcheck and that whole thing, and explain to people what it is. And
Um, man, so COVID-19 is going on, right? The world's pretty much shut down. You know, the sweat check, it isn't it isn't about working out as much as it is just persevering. Um, sticking to the commitment. Um, continuing what you've already started, not stopping what you've already got going on. And COVID-19 did that to a lot of us. Um, Fortunately, for me, I was in a good position at the time. I went through some promotions. I went through some good racing during that year because, well, some people weren't showing up. So,
yeah.
um, now the sweat check, man, I'm just gonna say it. So there was this other Mendez Fitness out of Miami. He started this, sweat check of the day, talking about the workout that they did. So, well, hey, I started doing it too. And next thing you know, I was the only one doing it. And then so I started tagging people that I knew. And boom, that's it. I mean, at the time you can only tag 10 people. So I would tag 10 people from my gym, like people I worked out with, plus whoever else. They would share it. And then these other people would be like, oh, wow, that's all they did. And so, well, in their backyard or whatever they had access, they sweat check too, and then they tagged 10 other people because they thought it was a good idea. And I mean, there you go. I mean, that alone, we just reached 100 people just off 3 days, and it's, and I'm not saying that's an accurate number. I'm just throwing that number out there. Like, but that's what happened. But at the same time, again, it's about duplicating that feeling, right? So, okay, I can't do what I just did yesterday. That's not all. I got to do it again, and I got to go harder, and I got to go harder and harder and harder and harder and harder, harder, harder. That's sweat check right there, man. I mean, that's getting people moving, getting people to not stay stagnant, to sweat.
Now, are you
And
are you
then,
posting specific workouts, or is it just more of just like, hey, making sure you guys are getting up and moving, especially during this time?
if I had a better vocabulary, I guess I could have answered it better. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not coaching. I'm not giving you any workouts. I'm literally telling you things you already know. But I guess it's more like a mental thing. It's more like a motivational talk, if anything. I mean, it doesn't seem like it for face value. It just seems like we're just sharing stuff, right? But that's what gets people moving. People look forward to posting their sweat check for their people to see because they want their friends to succeed in their fitness goals as well. This has nothing to do with me anymore. It's just all about yourself, and that's what keeps me going. Other people didn't have to share it for me to keep sweat checking. That's something I was going to keep doing for myself. And by sweat checking, again, that's motivating yourself, keeping yourself accountable, and in turn, you get people to do it too, and then you do more things together, and of course, together you go further. I mean, that's yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely great lessons there, consistency and building a good team around yourself to keep you motivated, to keep you accountable. Love all those things. Speaking of like a group of people to keep you motivated, I know you train at Get It Core Fitness. Tell me a little bit about that gym.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I got to tell you right now, I'm actually at Joe's house, sitting in his back porch. Joe's the owner of Get It Core Fitness. I met him at the 2017 Palm Coast Spartan race. He got third place, I think, in the sprint in the second day or something like that. Yeah. Um, and when I met Joe, um, that's when I started going to Get It Core Fitness. Um, because I'm like, oh, you train where? And he's like, oh, Get It Core Fitness. I'm like, wow. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, how do I look like that and run like that? And he's almost twice my age. What is going on here? Like it was mind blowing. It was because that's what I wanted to do. And well, here's the guy. So, well, yeah, I started training with him. I go to the classes, go to his classes, and then even outside of the gym, hey, when are you running? I want to go with you, and then he showed me some trails, and from there, I mean, it wasn't just me, a couple of other athletes, were there, and I was chasing them around. Um, and that was so exciting to me to see all these people. Again, they were just doing these exercises and just running and doing some obstacles and running, doing pull-ups and running. I'm like, they don't stop. They get faster. It gets harder and they get faster. That's what got me hooked. I wanted to do that too. And then, well, yeah, we started getting specific with some races, and yeah, here we are now. I mean, yeah, the podium started showing up. Um, started racing more. And hey, well, now we're here, but yeah, that's how Get It Core Fitness came about. Every Sunday a lot of people know this. Every Sunday is the OCR training at Get It Core Fitness. The class is still on right now. That's his staple class that he's been running for freaking 7, 8, 9 years now. Um, yeah, consistency ever since Get It Core Fitness. I
And
think that.
it's in Jacksonville. Is that
Yep,
where?
Jacksonville, Florida. Yep.
And when you say Joe, we're talking Joe Rivera. Is that what we're talking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Joselito. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he's been around forever. Running
Yes.
OCR. I have trouble like thinking back to a North American Championship or OCRWC, and I like not seeing his face at some point that weekend. I don't know if he was at every one, but like in my mind I recall seeing him at all of them. So
He is at all of them.
okay.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
not I didn't just make yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah. He definitely makes it a point to go to all of them. Yeah. He's got many medals. I see his checks are in the gym. People see him when I sweat check. You see him hanging. Yeah. So that's so cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. You know, I we're on one side over here with all this going on, and of course, you're on the other side with so much going on. Oh man, so much interesting stuff going on by really interesting people.
um so what kind of so obviously it's got some obstacles in there. Is it a functional fitness gym? Does it have like normal CrossFitty type equipment? Like what give us like an atmosphere of like what it's like inside the gym.
Yeah, so first off, it's a rustic place. Okay, guys? Yeah, a lot of cobwebs, dust, there's no AC.
I love
Um,
that though. I want my gym to be like borderline unsanitary.
right, right,
Because
right. Yeah.
I feel like you work out better versus when it's like too clean. It's almost I don't know. It just doesn't feel good. It could be the gym I grew up in, like the very first gym I belonged to with my dad. It's called Excalibur Fitness on Long Island. And it was dirty. Like some of the stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
like probably it's probably too far. It's closed down now, but it's probably too far on the dirty side. But I like a little bit of. It needs a little bit of sweat, a little bit of grunge in there to get a good
right,
workout, in my
right.
opinion.
Right. There's a time and place for everything. But I've we've all been to gyms where the cleanliness is just A plus, superb. Like looks like you can do a chemistry experiment in there. It's so clean. And then we've been to gyms where it's like, okay, this is where people actually get
Get after,
down.
yeah, this is
Yeah,
where
I
they get
mean,
after it. Yeah.
we don't have time to be clean.
Probably the dirtiest gym I've been to that I can remember is in Arlington, Texas, Metroflex Gym. It's if you know Ronnie Coleman, the bodybuilder, and Branch Warren, that's where they used to work out. And it's like no air conditioning, Texas. It's hot. They just like roll up the doors, and it's just, I mean, Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
rough in there. It's a
yeah,
rough place. But yeah,
yeah.
like I went
So
in there the one time I visited and I was like, man, I'm loving this. So people sign their
it,
names on the walls and stuff. It's pretty crazy.
it's a different feeling. Yeah, yeah. So that's why I say the first thing is it's rustic. Okay, you see the cargo net hanging vertically attached to the rig. Not something you do one after the other, but yeah. Um, I mean, he built most of it by hand, not the rig. He put the bars together, but the walls he built, the Olympic wall, Z wall, 8 foot wall, 6 foot wall, a 4 foot wall, 2 foot wall. Yeah, 2 foot wall, man. You got to practice that too. Monkey bars, twister. It's yeah, and then we got a lot of boot camp style classes. We got a lot of you can do your CrossFit exercises in there as well. You can do your Olympic lifts in there. We got people that do a little bit of everything there. It's just what you see is people crazy like me doing the sweat checking. So, you just see the obstacles, you see the burpees, you see the pull ups. Um, so yeah, that's Get It Core Fitness. We got all kind of dumbbells, all kind of benches, all kind of obstacles, mainly functional boot camp style is what's going on. We got all the DECA stuff going on. We were one of the first few gyms to, have an event there, and we've probably had the most events. I don't know. I guess I said that on a recorded podcast, so I'm in trouble now. But I mean, we've had like 15 events there with just a DECA Fit, DECA Mile, DECA Strong. So yeah. Um, a lot of a lot of other top athletes there doing the same, doing those activities as well. And yeah, Get a
Uh,
Core Fitness, baby.
yeah, and I'm looking at their website in the background right now. I love looking at some of their class schedule. Looks like you got some great stuff going on. And then I love in the upcoming events they have a bunch of like races that are both in the area and are kind of around the country that I think is pretty cool. I like when people do that. It gives people like a long or short and a kind of medium and even some long-term goals to focus on. Because I feel like the people who just like, well, I'm just going to work out because it's good for me. Uh, don't
It's,
last as
it,
long, right? Because there's no sense of urgency. There's no reason to prepare. It's like, oh well, oh I skipped the gym today. That's not a problem. Like I'll just go tomorrow. It's like, well
and
if
and
you're training for something, that's a big deal because now I've missed a day and I'm behind a day. So
and that's why I have to mention Get It Core Fitness and everything I do, because it's not just me. You got the Kaylas, you got the Ryans, you got the Bruces, the Sarahs. There's so many other people there doing other things. Izzy's always doing the ultras. Um, and well, I I want to be as dedicated as them. But at the same time, you know, they don't get enough recognition. Everybody else doesn't get what I feel is enough recognition, and Joe as well. So I'm always, anyways, I'm getting greedy now with the with the words, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
nice. I'm gonna have to bring Joe on at some point. He's been around forever. I'm sure he's got some great stories and great experiences to share, and a lot of lessons learned from not only running the gym, but just from racing all of those years. So
I am fortunate. I mean, I talk to him almost daily. It's yeah, it's I'm very fortunate for that, indeed. One of my mentors, coaches, friends, trainers, family at this point, teammate, you name it.
yeah. So tell me a little bit about Lionhearts Fitness and how you got involved with them.
Man, that was such a natural friendship there. Can't even tell you how it started. Like we did OCR overload all together. Lucetta was there. Shell was a photographer. And I remember joking with the photographer, like I always do. And we didn't realize, you know, that interaction until at least a year later. Like, oh, you were that person? I was like, oh, you were that person. No kidding. And of course, Lucetta's in the back of the starting corral because, so I never saw him really. So, yeah, that was OCR overload. I think was the first race we did together, and we did a couple Hildervats locally here, and um I mean, and of course the sweat check thing. That's it. I was sweat checking at the races. She was taking the pictures. She was doing some of the video. Well, sweat check to you too. And I hear down a lot of grapevines that the kids like the sweat checks, and they're playing the videos at the fitness center there.
Oh,
And I'm
nice.
like, you gotta be kidding me. There's no way. I mean, I'm I don't know. I guess I'm just too humble, or again, my vocabulary isn't sharp enough. But it's like there's no way. I'm just coming up with this crazy talk, and these kids are like, oh, the sweat check guy. We want to see more of that. I'm like, that's so cool. And then I mean, that's it. I mean, from there is what we have now. It's an ongoing thing. Um, I wish I can. I mean, I probably shouldn't say this either, but I mean, I wish I could provide more value. Um, because all I'm doing now is just doing what I always doing what I always want to do, just motivate others and motivate myself in the meantime.
Nice.
And it's working out really well. And yeah, that's how. Yeah, that's it. It was so natural. I almost can't even pinpoint how it happened, but that's it.
Yeah, nice. The first time I met Shell was at 2020. We did a 24-hour like very local OCR. Essentially, one of the guys after World's Toughest Mudder got canceled was like, "Hey, I'm gonna do a 24-hour OCR in my backyard in Arkansas." Uh, our friend Tank.
What?
So he built he built like some obstacles on his property, and it was also to honor his recently passed wife. So we went out there. She was there. It was the first time I met her. We became friends, and we talked back and forth occasionally ever since. And I've done some speaking for Lionhearts. So if anyone's not tracking Lionhearts, it's a kids essentially OCR group, and Shell does a lot
Right.
of work essentially bringing young kids into our sport, which is just phenomenal. And I think something we could all learn from and emulate in whatever part of the country you live in. So, great program there. And Lionhearts Fitness is also one of our team sponsors for 2024. So we're gonna partner with her and their kids program and try to give them, like you were saying, try to give more value to that program to kind of help grow the sport from the bottom. And Shell's gonna
Right.
Shell will be at some races taking pictures too. So just another one of the relationships we've built over the years that tries to be mutually beneficial and kind of help everyone out and help grow the sport.
Yes, yes, she does amazing work over there, and Lucetta, I'm, I mean, shoot, I'm talking about sweat check. I mean, golly, they're talking about hundreds of kids.
Yeah.
That's like physically, not through social media, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I w-
physically.
when I did the Zoom like meeting interview, whatever you want to call it with them, I was surprised at how like packed that room was with the kids. It was pretty cool to see. So
I mean, I wish that was me when I was their age, for sure,
yeah,
for
no kidding.
sure,
No kidding.
for sure.
So
I mean, even at 13. Anyways, yeah.
what's your day job and how does that help or hinder training for OCR?
Um, I'm a roofer. Not like residential, but commercial. So big flat buildings usually. Um, yeah, it helps in some ways, hurts in some ways. The biggest way it hurts is I'm always getting to races really late in the evening and I barely sleep. Um, and then the biggest advantage would be that I'm my arms are more stronger than 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 most of the other guys. Um, and in terms of grip and pulling and carrying, of course I take that with a grain of salt too. Don't come at me on Instagram. Um, but because I'm always what people do for active recovery is almost what I do for work every day. Um, yeah, it pays the bills. It's a good time. usually, except for the summer when it gets, about 120 degrees when you're up there.
Yeah.
Um,
Since
but
you have such an active job, do you find that you have to work out beforehand to get your workout in, or do you just kind of like suck it up and work out afterwards?
over the years I've done a little bit of both.
Okay.
I have. I've done speed work in the mornings, and then I've done sometimes speed work at night. Not in the same day. I'm just saying, in terms of
Yeah,
when I did speed
when?
work. Um, I've I've done lifting the same manner. Um, it yeah, I never have a set schedule in terms of training because I have to react to how my body's feeling due to work, and that can change day to day, week to week. Um, I don't know how many miles I run a week. I have to be day to day based on, again, what I'm doing at work because work dictates everything. So while, a lot of people think it's really good that I'm a roofer and that I do Spartan races, right? And they're right, it is. But at the same time, there's also the fact that like I can't just um I like it would be hard for me to hire a coach to further my OCR career specifically because, what I'm doing at work, probably 80% of people aren't doing.
Hmm.
And sometimes it takes out my back, sometimes it takes out my hips for the day, sometimes it takes out my ankles, depending on exactly what's going on. Sometimes it's an easy day, sometimes it's a hard day.
Yeah.
And so and so yes, it doing all that helps. I just have to be careful because I don't want to get injured. And that's something that I've battled. I've battled well over the years. Mainly is that's like I joke about with some of the guys at the gym. I can't afford to be injured. I literally can't afford to be injured. I want to race and I have to work.
Yeah, it's
So
part of your
we
job.
got to be smart about this. So I'd rather undertrain than overtrain. Of course, I've overtrained more than undertrained, but we'll just act like I didn't say that. Um, but anyways, yeah, yeah. It works out well. In the end, hey, I know I've been all over the place here. But in the end, I think it works out well. I definitely want to get more involved in the fitness industry. I'm actually taking a course right now to study and take the personal training exam. So maybe we can talk about that in the future.
Cool. What company are you going with for the personal training certification?
NASM?
Okay, nice, NASM.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just taking a shot in the dark over here.
Nice. Nice, nice. All right, we're gonna start wrapping it up because we are recording this on Super Bowl Sunday. The Super Bowl starts in about 30 minutes. So I know people. I don't know. You a big sports guy, Noel? Or not really.
Not really. I used to be. Now I just want to see Taylor Swift. No, I'm just kidding. But, no, but
Any predictions? Because most people will listen to this after the Super
yeah,
Bowl. So
I want
here's
the
your
49ers.
here's your chance
I
to be perfectly accurate. Go.
I want the 49ers to win it. I'm
Okay.
I'm going for the 49ers. I think I don't want to say I think they're gonna win. I want them to win.
Okay. That's fair. I feel like that's pretty universal across most of the United States besides
Yeah,
Missouri and Kansas.
yeah.
I'm in Kansas. I'm not a sports guy, but um sometimes I'll root for the Kansas City for this one just because that's what quote unquote my home team is for this one. So
I do know from being a football fan long ago that Andy Reid, has had his share of some tough losses. So I'm glad he's, successful.
yeah. So speaking of kind of off topic stuff, tell us one thing people would be surprised to know about you, and the more random the better, typically.
Oh man, that's a tough one. Um, oh well, here we go. What the heck? I don't. I sleep on the floor. Um, like that's exactly how I. Yeah, exactly how it sounds. I don't like sleeping on beds. They're not comfortable, and I got my own thoughts about why people have back problems all the time.
Oh, interesting. So did you put any cushions on or anything, or it's just like carpet, you,
So,
blanket? What's
so
what's the technique
yeah.
here?
What evolved from just taking naps on the floor and finding out that like I felt really good after doing so, was just a carpet floor, and then my parents got me like a little like a 8x6 rug, like something from like Walmart. So then I got a sheet on that, and that's what I sleep on. So even when I go camping, I just literally roll up the rug with the pillow, the blanket in it,
Yeah,
everything as is. I throw it in my tent, unroll it, and it's the exact bed that I had. And I do that many times for racing.
interesting. Married,
Single.
single. Okay. Have has any suitors come over that are not excited to be on your bed there? Just out of
Uh,
curiosity.
oh, I've never had that issue.
Okay, fair enough. No, it's fine. Just
That's such a good question, man.
I,
That is awesome. I wasn't expecting such a guy question. That is awesome.
so
Yeah.
I've been married for I don't know. I think I'm approaching 15 years at this point, and there are large portions of my life that is essentially my wife dictates a lot of those things because she'll be like, "Well, which dining room table should we get? Here are your three options," and I'm like, "It's the cheapest one. That's the one that will make me happiest." She's like, "How do you?"
Yeah.
It's like it, like guys will live with like a bunch of milk crates, their TV stacked on an old cardboard box, and
Yeah.
like five utensils, like two cups, one plate, and a bowl, and be like, "Yep, I got it all. I'm good." Um,
Luxury at its finest.
yeah,
Simplicity is true luxury.
yeah,
Anyways, well, I'm being funny, but yeah, kind of.
yeah. I mean, so for some of my deployments, like I've lived essentially in a basically it was like a hotel room on the embassy compound, and I've lived in tents and whatever. And when I lived in the hotel room on the embassy compound in Lebanon, and I was like, yep, got everything I need: a bed, my bathroom, and like literally like one set of utensils, like one set of like one plate, one cup. And the
Yeah,
the State Department people would always be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you have to live in the hotel." And I was like, "What?" It's like this is the nicest place I've ever lived in on a deployment. I was like, "This is amazing." It's like
right.
I'm like super happy that everything's close. I don't have to walk anywhere. So pretty
Yeah.
simple. It's like I can go to the gym 24 hours a day. We're good. We're good. I don't need anything
Hey, people,
else.
people pay top dollar for that kind of living, I tell you.
Yeah.
And I just want to add too, so sleeping on the floor as opposed to a bed, um, that thing is, people think their quality of sleep, has to do with what they're laying on. I mean, it does, but for the most part, the if you're productive enough throughout your day, you're gonna sleep good, no matter what.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I do agree with that. Yeah.
I just want to throw that out there, because people, the first thing they think, you really do sleep on the floor, and then but it's like, well, I sleep good because the floor isn't why you would sleep bad. I mean, it is, but there's more to it. And yeah,
Gotcha. All right. Any final shout outs you want to give? Friends, family, sponsors, whatever.
I mean, golly, Jose Medina, Deborah Medina, my parents, my lovely parents, they've been married for like 45 years. I wish I was as good as them. One day I will. Get It Core Fitness is in the house. Lionhearts Fitness, of course. The Mud Gear Hannibal Race Pro Team. Evan Preparis, captain of the team. Hosting this podcast. Glad to be here. So exciting. I mean, we got a lot of races to come, a lot of races to do this year, and hey, I look forward to seeing everybody there. That's all I
Yeah.
got.
Yeah, it's going to be a great year. And for anyone listening, head over to teamstrengthspeed.com. We just got resupplied with Bleg mitts, so I now have extremes in all sizes, small, medium, and large. Just a fresh order coming in from Australia. I think about half of it came in, about half it should be in the rest of this week. So please check that out. And then if you want more podcast content, one, head over and listen to Obstacle Running Adventures. We had another one of the new athletes on our team, Sarah Grippy Snyder is going to be on Obstacle Running Adventures if it hasn't published already. It's probably coming out right around the time this is coming out. And on top of that, if you want more podcast stuff, we have another podcast now called Tiga Tactics Podcast. So not fitness focused, more self-defense focused. So if anyone wants to like dive into that world, you can check that out. And then Tiga Tactics is another one of our sponsors actually for the team in 2024. Kind of a weird sponsor for a obstacle course racing team, but self-defense and self-protection doesn't necessarily limit itself to martial artists. It literally applies to everyone. And if I was going to teach someone how to defend themselves and they didn't have a lot of time or time to go to a gym, etc., I would use Tiga Tactics, and I would that's the methodology I would use for like my wife, my uh
I'm
any sort of my
I,
relatives, my daughter, etc. Yeah.
I'm glad we got people like you on our side, man. I tell you that.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So head over, check out Tiga Tactics podcast, follow Tiga Tactics. If anyone goes to my Instagram bio and clicks on my link tree, the link in my Instagram bio, there's a code in there, save you 50% from any of the Tiga Tactics courses. So pretty sweet deal there. Please check that out.
Nice.
Show some love for our sponsors. If head over to Mudgear Hannibal Pro Team Instagram, we're dropping sponsors and announcements. Make sure you're following us, catching all the updates. I know you recently placed second at Native X, which I forgot to talk
Yeah.
about. Let's talk about that real quick. Tell
Yeah,
me
yeah,
about
what we
Native
got?
X. Tell me about Native X before we get going.
Um, yeah, you got some of your high rocks, Decafit, trail running all in one. It was you had the heavy and then you had the fast. So of course I did the fast. That was the 5K. I got second behind Alvaro Vasquez. Alvaro Vasquez is pretty well known in OCR. He's fast, super fast, super strong for his size. So Gage Hicks finished not too far behind me. That was a good battle with him. Yeah, I mean, so you had four lanes, and each lane had four exercises, had four things. So yeah, had two obstacles and two exercises. So yeah, you um that was that was a fast one. That was a fast the I say fast until I went to the thrusters and the 30 thrusters with a no 50 single arm squat thrusters with a 30-pound dumbbell. So that pretty much took me out, took most of us out. Um, so yeah, that was, I say it took us out, and then I say that's exactly what I like. And then we went into some monkey bar, net rings kind of thing after that. So yeah, it very spectator friendly, which I that keeps the energy going. You're in mid competition, right? And you're always by the crowd, and it's this crowd is that's watching. They're seeing a story play out. They're seeing the battle play out right before their eyes on each zone, and that to me that kind of added like a different kind of aspect. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, yeah, and some of the bigger guys out there would have definitely loved the 2.5K, where we all did the same exercises, the same run, but their reps, no, their weights were heavier, um, and their runs were halved. Yeah, so yeah, um, good race. Native X did really well over there in West Palm Beach. So shout out to Chris Harris, the race director there.
Yeah, it looked like a really cool event. I feel like High Rocks and Decafit is a lot more. It's like endurance CrossFit almost because you're doing running and then they're more of like functional fitness CrossFit movements. I thought this was pretty cool because it looked a lot more. I mean, there are some like functional fitness type movements in there, but there's also some like straight up obstacles from OCRs. A lot more of like a Tough Mudder X type vibe.
Yes,
So
yes,
I thought,
and it's go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I thought that was cool. And like you said, were you running on the same section of run route? Like, was it like, all right, I'm gonna run here and back, or does
Yes.
each station you do a different route?
No, it was almost built like a decamile,
Gotcha.
um, like where everything was actually like a small, like 100 foot by 200 foot. No, not even that, probably like 50 by 100 foot. That's where all the obstacles, all the zones were. But then the running was what spanned out. But that was the same loop every time
Yeah,
through some running trails. So yeah, you came in the same way and you left out the same way every time.
that's cool. And
Um,
like you said, I think that that plays well for spectators. If they decided to do television, I think that plays well for television too, right? Because the story can, like you were saying, the story can unfold. You can catch a lot of the action, um, right? And you don't have to move cameras around and stuff like that. So that's essentially we're gonna go way back in time here, back when like Hobie Call was still involved in the sport. When he was suggesting like how to televise OCR, it's very similar to what Native X does, or essentially you have
Oh, okay.
his idea was essentially it looked like a clover leaf. So all the obstacles are in the middle.
Yeah,
You run part of the clover, you do the obstacles. You run a different part of the clover, you do the obstacles. That's obviously that requires a little more space if you're doing different loops for every run, but same concept.
yeah, yeah. Because a lot of people see I got a problem with spectating myself. Like I like to watch. I like to record people. Um, because I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, 5 months from now, that's the footage that I'm going to be watching when I'm bored. Um, and yeah, I was able to watch the the heavy go off first, and then we did our wave 45 minutes later. So yeah, I watched Chainsaw Rick. People like Chainsaw Rick were in the heavy. Johnny Mares, some of those small guys, and they blasted
Yeah.
it. Of course, Daniel Little and um Joe Roberto, some of the bigger guys, they were killing it. That was fun to watch. Rachel Waters, Aaliyah Emis, they were doing the heavy as well. So yeah, I got to watch all that. I recorded a lot of it. So that was yeah, you don't get to watch competitors compete often when you are a competitor. So I was able to do that.
It's funny you name all those names, and this is like a quote unquote local OCR for Florida. And we were talking on like the team chat at one point. I was like, yeah, you know what? All it takes is a couple people, a couple high level people to show up, and a easy race turns into like, you know, national series quality, with some of that crowd showing up. So that's pretty funny.
Yes, yes, it's yes, yes. It's hard to go to all the races. That's for sure. But I was glad to see some of my friends show up at my Florida race, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Cool, man.
We're actually gonna get going now. Thanks again
Cool.
for coming on, and we will catch everyone later.
Pleasure, man. Pleasure. I'll talk to you soon, Evan.
All right, sounds good. Later.
Bye.